Hi Capricorn, this is your forecast for the year 2017, first quarter. This is a general reading for Capricorn Sun, Capricorn Rising, or Capricorn Moon. If you have a different rising or moon sign, you might find watching those videos helpful or more informative for you. Please remember that these are general readings, and so they may not apply to everyone. If you would like a personal reading that is specific to you, please visit my website at thealchemistastrologer.com, provided on the link at the upper corner. If you have visited the site before, you'll need to clear your browser's cache for the schedule button to function properly. So Capricorn, the first month of the first quarter begins with a bang for you in some way. There's something that has happened, perhaps unexpectedly, something out of the blue, that may be some awakening or revelation for you. Now, there's a major transformation taking place and some kind of unavoidable change, and it could be happening rather quickly. Now, on the positive, maybe this is a new job or you're changing your residence. But for others of you, this is perhaps a separation, an argument, a divorce, some type of problem with your property. Maybe you're having to be very aggressive, or somebody is being very aggressive with you and they're challenging your views. But this is a disruptive energy. And some modification is taking place. Now, this could be something that's unalterable, some change in circumstance, or maybe you're being freed from something or restricted from something. But there is a breakdown either of a belief system or an actual structure, something that was in place that you felt was reliable. There could be a failure to live up to some type of expectation or some type of injustice that is connected to what's happening. But whatever it is, you are being asked to reorganize your situation, whether that, maybe this is something to do with property or your finances, but you are now being required to rebuild the parts of yourself and your situation that have been blocking you from making progress. So there is something in your life in the beginning of this year that you are holding on to, that you probably really feel comfortable with. This is not something that you want to let go, but that you need to let go. And so you are being challenged to release it. Now, for some of you, the impact is that you haven't been paying attention to something. Maybe you weren't heeding some advice, or there were some issues that you knew needed to be taken care of. Could have even been physical. Maybe you didn't go to the doctor. Now, a medical condition is impacting your finances in some way. Or maybe, again, there was something financial, some loose end that was dangling in front of you. You knew it was there, but you didn't want to deal with it. You turned your back on it, and now it's hit critical mass. For some of you, you're dealing with a lot of pressure, and it's in an explosive stage right now. Whatever has been contained is at breaking point, and it has to be released and it has to be dealt with. So you may need to be more flexible in dealing with people that are connected to your finances during this time. It could be that professionally, financially, you're being forced to carry a greater load on your own. But you're going to find that the result of that is that you become more successful as well. And this could be a period where things have reached critical mass. If you were wondering about something, or you had some anxiety or lack of confidence, you may muster up that motivation to really, take things into your own hands. And in the process, you could be very direct. You could be telling some things, making some statements that really take others by surprise. Whatever it is, you want to get down to business. You want to know where you stand financially with regard to your property, with regard to your career. You want to know what the facts are so that you can reassess and make the changes that you need to do that are going to provide that sense of security for you. So you're going to have to get very organized and reorganize some things that have been in place for you up until this point. So it's very likely that whatever's happening, you don't like it. You don't like what you're hearing. Again, you're trying to hold on to something and you're trying to convince yourself that you need this thing, that it's good for you. But the fact is, it's been holding you back, and it's been holding you back for quite a time. For some of you, you've been using this strategy where you're only metering out pieces of information that you think the other person can deal with, or that it serves you in some way to keep them at bay. You tell them a little of this, you tell them a little of that, but you don't really give them the full story. And in the end, there ends up being some big misunderstanding because all the cards weren't being put on the table. This is also going to be a period where you feel as if something is happening to you, that you're a victim of something. But the truth of the matter is, again, you turned your back on something and you didn't pay attention to that dangling loose end. And so, in effect, you ended up putting yourself in this position. So this is a period for you to really come to terms with the things that have to be changed and the things you really don't have control over changing. Now, by the middle of this quarter, though, perhaps you've worked something out. Maybe you've repaired something. There was a connection, that was coming apart at the seams due to some type of financial situation. Maybe you've repaired that. Maybe through the process, you've gained some mutual respect with this other person, a rapport. There's been some kind of exchange. This could have been a business deal. Maybe you ended some hostilities with someone. Maybe you reconcile with someone. Or maybe by this point, you've made some type of agreement. You've entered into a contract. But for others of you, this out of the blue thing, this end of something, is actually the end of a partnership. There's a separation, a division. You could be dividing some assets. You could be breaking a contract or an agreement. There could be issues of incompatibility in your partnerships, or arguments or disagreements, or some kind of violation of trust. There could be contention or resentment or some kind of inequity. Maybe this is connected to a divorce. Whatever the situation is, you feel so strongly about it that you're going to take a firm position on either side of that line. Either you're going to be a fierce opponent to someone, or you're going to come to the aid of someone and be a powerful ally. And maybe more so than you expect. So something is going to happen toward the middle of this quarter where you're going to feel again either a greater sense of loyalty and a strength of conviction in connection to your finances, a partnership, a situation, or you're going to become very suspicious and irritated with others. Now, in the positive, again, maybe you can reconcile something, repair something, come to some understanding where you see the other person's point of view. But for others of you, this is going to be a difficult period where you feel as if others are just not getting you. In fact, they're being patronizing. And even in the best of situations, you may feel your uncertainty is creating an atmosphere that is contaminating what could be a positive connection. Now, some partnerships you're going to want to cut ties with. They're affecting you negatively, financially, emotionally, psychologically. And these could be connections that really meant a lot to you at one point. They were very valuable. And now it's all you can do to get away from them. And that's all you can think of is how you can get away from them. Now, by the end of this first quarter, for some of you, this thing is a sudden partnership that yields some gain for you. There's some reward to it. And this could be something that, you really hadn't expected, or maybe it's something that you had put a lot of effort into. There was a lot of perseverance within it, and it's suddenly beginning to yield something out of the blue. But for others of you, given something that has collapsed, perhaps, this division in a partnership or this splitting of assets, by the end of this quarter, there's some assessment that is taking place. Maybe there's an assessment of how to split these assets, or there's a change in direction, or there's a reevaluation of something, a project, a job, a partnership, a property. Maybe this was a long-term project, or maybe at this point things were really moving quickly in the beginning of the quarter, and now by the end of this first quarter there's some type of lull. There could be a choice that will have to be made. Maybe you're having to choose between taking a risk or what is safe, tried and true. Some of you, something has collapsed and you feel a sense of failure. There was a wasted effort. You didn't get anything out of it. Something is missing. Or you realize suddenly that you didn't pursue something that was going to be profitable for you. You have a revelation, a rude awakening that you should have done something, and now you realize that opportunity is gone. Some of you, given what has happened, you will realize that you're at a dead end somewhere. You're in a dead end job, or a situation is going nowhere. There's continuous worry about your finances, some kind of loss, missed opportunity. And hopefully this is not due, to illness or there could be some problems at work, or you're not getting a return on something and you want to give up on it. Whatever the case is, whether you're gaining or you're losing, you're going to want to really take a close look at the things that you're connected to, your pursuits, your endeavors, your projects, your partnerships, the places where you've been putting all of your time, your money, and your emotions. Now, for some of you, there's some things that are going to come out, and when it's all over, you're going to respect your opponent or your partner or your competitor. But for others of you, because of what has happened, you are at breaking point. Your relationship has become negative. There's resistance on the job, perhaps. Maybe people are undermining you. There's confusion surrounding you. And even the smallest things are becoming unbearable. So for you, if you've been in a situation for a long time and it's suddenly reaching breaking point, it could be some past grievance or some slight or some offense is now taking on larger than life proportion for you. Particularly if perhaps a partner is experiencing this, and if you are worried about your partner's income or your earning potential, you're going to be especially concerned and anxious. And this quarter could be a time where you seriously need to rethink your finances, perhaps how you can bring in some additional income, or how you can make some changes, or restructure some of your partnerships or your budget. Now, your advice card is the law of attraction responds to my vibration. A belief is nothing more than a chronic pattern of thought, and you have the ability, if you try even a little bit, to begin a new pattern, to tell a new story, to achieve a different vibration, and to change your point of attraction. You can easily change your vibrational point of attraction by visualizing the lifestyle you desire and holding your attention upon those images until you begin to feel relief. Okay, so there's some kind of shift in your thinking that's necessary. And maybe you feel, a sense of strong anxiety because there's been some kind of frustrating delays. Maybe you're not pushing forward the way, you had hoped. But there's some inevitable change that's taking place during this first quarter, for better or worse for you. And whatever it is, it's been building momentum, and it's finally making that change during this first quarter. And whatever it is, it's going to take you in a better direction. Whatever you've been holding on to up until this point, you needed to let that go in order for you to grow. Now, with regard to love and relationships, if this resonates with you, please claim it. If not, toss it aside. I know people are especially sensitive about their relationship readings, and it's difficult to do one in a general reading. So the first month of the first quarter, you have this card of cooperation. You have this Three of Cups, this sharing abundance. So this is great for dating. Maybe some of you are going on some kind of romantic trip, or you're connecting with someone. Maybe you're dating, you're having fun. Again, this could be indicating some new lifestyle, and maybe that's what's being shown in the financial section of your reading. You know, this could be a birth or a marriage, engagement, a wedding, a conception, giving or receiving some kind of emotional commitment. Maybe you're expanding your point of understanding with another person. But for others of you, this is about a divorce. Maybe there's a third party. So it just depends on where you are. So some of you, maybe this is going to be a period where you meet somebody special, or you meet through a friend or some social event, or by an accident, or maybe somebody arranges for you to meet someone. For others of you, though, there's going to be a situation where either you are trying on purpose, or the other person is, to create a sense of jealousy in the partner. And maybe that's where the explosions are occurring. This is about sharing and sharing information, sharing your feelings, sharing your appreciation for one another, dating, having fun, social invitations, getting out there. It could be a lot of eating and drinking, partying. And if you're sharing your feelings with a partner, there's likely to be an agenda to that. There's something behind it. It's not just sharing. And you will have to really take in and consider whatever you hear at this time, because there could be some distortions here and there. Everything may not necessarily be what it appears to be. You will have to think carefully about what you hear, especially if you are emotionally tied to the situation. Now, you have this card in the center by the middle of the first quarter. There's a sense of, reaping some rewards for your efforts. Now, maybe you're physically connecting to another person, or perhaps on the other end of the spectrum, you feel very comfortable being alone. In fact, there's a preference for solitude. Now, you could feel as if you are attracted to someone who is difficult to obtain or reach, or you could be that person. So we have two things happening. One of two things. Either there's a preference for being alone. There's this idea of someone being unobtainable as the object of affection. Or this card can also show up for someone who is a mistress, which again ties into this Three of Cups. So there could be some third party involvement. Somebody's being kept, and there are issues connected to that. But for some of you, this is about being self-sufficient, personal independence, and financial power. And so you may be quite happy by yourself, and maybe even better off by yourself than being paired up with someone else. But sometimes this can be an indication that you are involved with someone who, because there's a resentment about not being able to fully capture your heart or your attentions or your affections, they become intent on pulling you down because of it, rather than trying to build you up. If you're coupled, this could be a period where you decide you need more space from your partner. You need to be able to focus on something. Maybe that's because you're focused on work or some project, and you really don't have time for a relationship. And that's okay if you both are on solid ground and you agree. But for others of you, this can be unmet needs. There can be issues of unfaithfulness. This is also a good time to be very careful if you are being unfaithful, to make sure that you are practicing safe and protective methods, whatever those may be. This could be a roller coaster kind of a relationship that is coming to a standstill. And maybe money and wealth and power is somehow tied to relationship. There could be some displays of money or power or status as a way of manipulating another person's affections. By the end of this first quarter, though, you have this Ace of Wands, some new beginning. So this is about passionate energy and powerful and mutual attractions, a lot of chemistry and physical connection to another person. Although, because this is a wand, this is electric, this is fire, but if you don't act on it, this is something that can easily die out rather quickly. So for you, there could be some new connections to someone that, may have been unobtainable at some point, or you feel a strong passion for someone, and very physical. So there could be some renewal in a relationship. Maybe you are reviving a relationship, or your relationship is evolving in some way. But this is about passion in your union, and also about being in the moment. So you could have some passionate moments that actually end up deepening those emotional bonds. On the negative, though, this is about superficial attraction, and again, that allusion to wealth and power, status, and that being the bond between you with another person. You could be in a relationship that's lacking in depth and intimacy. Now, the underlying energy is this religious factors. Your love life is influenced by your religious upbringing and spiritual path. So you may be, maybe your partner is unobtainable because you share different spiritual values, whatever those are. Maybe you're looking for somebody that shares your spiritual beliefs. So now if you're with somebody and you don't, share the same beliefs, maybe you share the same values, but maybe they're not packaged the same way. Or some of you, the relationship is being influenced by your conditioning, your beliefs, your culture, family traditions, and that's playing a part in your relationship. Whatever it is, you're asked to be true to yourself, to decide which things are acceptable in your relationship, what your priorities are for a partner, and to investigate whether they are living the principles, if not connected to exactly the same affiliation. And you're also asked to, you can't change other people. And everybody is a spirit with a spiritual connection. And even if it's not your spiritual path, if you're in a relationship that's troubling, by focusing on the positives, by doing affirmation, by visualizing, by prayer, that can have a positive influence on your relationship. Now, the overarching theme is this Ace of Cups. So you have two cards of new beginnings. This is a new beginning emotionally. So maybe you're starting a relationship, or there's a new direction that's taking place in an ongoing relationship. There could be some emotional renewal. Maybe you're falling in love, or again, maybe you're reviving a relationship. Maybe some of you are getting married, and this Tower card indicates some new lifestyle change, like a marriage, or moving in together, or buying a property together. for some of you, this is the first time you're falling in love. But for many of you, this is going to be about a fear of love, failing to initiate what you need in a relationship that you desire, or the needed changes taking place, not moving in a new direction. Some of you, this is going to be about the loss of love, unrequited love, and rejection, or feeling unloved, or having your heart broken, or being involved in a sexual relationship that doesn't have love, or someone playing with someone's emotions. This could be about separating, or loneliness, or the end of an affair, or relationships where there's been a lack of emotional fulfillment, where there's been manipulation. So you have next to it time to go. And so some of you will be leaving these situations. Now, this is going to be a period for you of endings, completions, walking away from something because there's nothing else to learn or experience in that connection. So this is a time for you to take stock, to look back over a situation, what hasn't worked, what has fallen apart, to reorganize, to move on to new experiences and a new way of being, because there's nothing left for you to experience in your present circumstances. So this is a period for you to take a risk and move on, even if you don't exactly know where you're headed. In some of your relationships, they're over. They no longer provide you a service, and vice versa. And so your journey has come to the end. And so maybe you're involved in a breakup, maybe you're drifting apart, maybe you're at the end of a soul contract and you're letting go of something. And of course, an ending is always a new beginning. Now, as far as your wealth, if you've been working on something, a project, a business alliance, that may be closing. It may be closing out. And if you try to keep pushing it, you may not find the success that you're hoping for. So you may benefit by taking a risk to step out into the unknown and go towards something new. If you finished your work, your tasks, a project, you can know that that ending is now going to be an avenue for you for new opportunity. So this is a time for you to remember during this period, when one door closes, another one opens. Now, the underlying energy is this Temperance card. So this is about moderation, reconciling your differences, finding the middle course, having a balanced viewpoint, and the sense of proper timing. And the proper timing could be to realize that something has run its course. This is about issues of compatibility or accommodation or adaptation. For some of you, there has been a lack of balance, a refusal to compromise, overdoing it, excess, going above. Maybe that was excessive ambition, or maybe there were some improprieties in a relationship. Maybe there was a conflict of interest or some poor judgment. Maybe there was some inappropriate behavior, or maybe sexually you've been unsafe in some way. There's been an imbalance on some part that needs to heal. So during this first quarter is a period about compromising and moderation. So it's time for you to conclude some things, to wrap some things up. And one of the ways may be to have a very honest and open discussion with a partner or with someone that you're in a relationship with, and realize that you're at the end of the road and you can agree to disagree. You are being warned to avoid the temptation to remain chained to situations, to conditions, to people that are wrong for you, by trying to convince yourself that it's good for you or the best thing for you. If you're in a negative relationship during this period, you're going to realize, either by choice or by circumstance, that this has just become a bad habit, and that it's keeping you from making the most of yourself, You may be involved in a work situation, a career choice, a partnership, a relationship where you're being taken for granted, whether you're doing that yourself or that's being done to you. So this is about making sure that you are moving forward to find a balance with yourself and with others, and to avoid making a misjudgment. And in the end, you may find that you've been putting a lot of pressure on yourself, that you've been way more demanding and exacting of yourself than you have been by other people. All right, Capricorn, I hope you enjoyed this reading, and I would greatly appreciate your subscriptions, your likes, your kind comments. For those of you who've already offered your support, please know that I am grateful and committed to you. Have a wonderful 2017 and make it count.